Hi, this is the Hotbox, telling you that this video might have some sensitive stuff in it, so take a second if you need to and go check out something else. Otherwise, please enjoy the show.
James Charles' redemption arc was not a phrase that I expected or wanted. You would think that after all...
We loaded up the mans.
I love a good load.
You should make your own icing.
James.
That James Charles would have fizzled from the public eye or just remained in his own space. But he's back, he's here, and he's doing this bizarre interview with Cosmopolitan asking to be uncancelled. So I wanted to go through it together, talk about some interesting points, and see if we can understand just what James Charles is thinking by doing this. Let's get right into it. Welcome back to the channel, new and returning, young and old, fans, haters, and everyone in between. If you're new here, why not subscribe? It's quick, it's easy, just takes a second, and you can always undo it, but it really does help out the channel a lot, so thank you. So, as I said, James Charles did an interview with Cosmopolitan asking to be uncancelled. A better word for that is forgiven, and an even better term here is forget about everything like we got hit by the Men in Black neuralizer.
Sorry.
Forgiveness, whether in private or in public, is something that has to be earned, whereas here, James Charles, throughout the majority of this interview, talks like he's owed something by the public just for speaking on this at all. I always find it weird when YouTubers act like viewers owe them something, like they're talking to friends or family. Let me make this clear, I don't think you guys are my friends, and you better not either. You can click on my videos, we can have a little laugh together here and there, tee-hee. That's what I make the videos for. But otherwise, respect my space. I don't want to talk to you at Tesco. This is an awful PR move on James Charles' part. James, you weren't cancelled. You were called out for grooming and sexting children, which you admitted to. But let's just get into the article and see what he has to say. I don't want to sit here and fucking mope and whine and cry because nobody wants to hear it, says Charles, sinking into a plush couch in his casual open living room. That feels like an unnecessary description. I don't need to be reminded that James Charles still gets to be rich and continue to not suffer consequences for his actions. I had to do a lot of thinking, like, okay babe, this is your fault. No, you're not a pedophile. No, you're not a fucking groomer. No, you're not a predator, but you made a big mistake. How do you reduce something like that to a simple mistake? It feels like every YouTuber that grooms children always wants to call it a mistake, even when it happened a lot. At this point, you're likely familiar with the specific quid pro quo inherent in celebrity profiles like this. The ones that come together post-cancellation, after a respectable amount of time has passed post-cancelable sin. It's no surprise that a star's willingness to answer intimate questions about a catastrophic stretch of their lives increases dramatically when they have a project to promote. In today's case, that's ostensibly Charles's new makeup line, Painted. Excuse me, but we're not about to turn this into a print ad for James Charles' new palette. It's a low thing to try to play the victim card in a situation like this. It's an even lower thing to try to co-opt a discussion about the things that you did as an ad for your makeup brand. But it's also Charles himself, a warier, acceptably contrite, but still just a little extra Charles. This very interview is to be a trial balloon. Its reception the answer to the question both of us, and maybe you too, if what auto-populates in Google search can be believed, are here to ask. Is James Charles still cancelled? The thing is, yeah, that if you did all this and you're not in jail or on trial, then you're more than just not cancelled. You got away with everything and told everyone to go fuck themselves on the way out. You still have plenty of people who will continue to feed you millions of views in ad revenue. After all, would a still ousted person be allowed to pose for red carpet cameras at the People's Choice Awards, or chat amiably with paparazzi while out and about in Hollywood? Would a still banished person have hundreds of thousands of fans enthusiastically engage with his YouTube beauty tutorials? Would a truly exiled person be 24 years old and living in a reportedly $7 million farmhouse that looks like a cross between the homes featured in the later seasons of Vanderpump Rules and any season of all iterations of the Kardashians? You know, black and white modern exteriors, hyper-organized interiors. When I arrived, I noticed Oreos decanted into a glass. Wow, these parentheses are working overtime. Look at all that. To answer the question, no. But because James Charles got to do all that stuff to kids, allegedly, and keeps making content, he's gonna keep living a luxurious life and have his every fart win a streamy or something. In February of 2021, at age 21, Charles confronted a career crisis he couldn't quickly apologize for or capitalize on. He was publicly accused of sending lewd photographs and inappropriate sexual messages to a then 16-year-old fan. Charles says he was misled into believing the boy was 18 and that he blocked him as soon as he learned the truth. I've never been more disgusted in my life than when I found out that this kid was 16 years old, Charles says now. I was mortified, absolutely mortified. The fan did not return Cosmopolitan's request for comment. In the end, substantiated or not, multiple media reports indicated that at least 15 boys and men had accused Charles of inappropriate behavior. Charles says now about the breadth of the allegations, the source of where the list came from was not doing any sort of research, no fact-checking. Some of the screenshots depicted consensual conversations between adults, he says. Others were completely fake and never even happened. Charles has never been legally charged with engaging inappropriately with a minor, let alone proven to have knowingly done so. Nevertheless, that April, Charles uploaded a 14-minute YouTube video titled Holding Myself Accountable, where he admitted to inadvertently exchanging messages with two 16-year-old boys he said he was led to believe were 18, and he apologized for his desperate behavior. Inappropriate behavior is right. Look, I can't speak on whether or not James Charles sent any actual illicit material, nor can I speak for every victim's account, but I can say that this is entirely inappropriate behavior. There is a clear power imbalance, and Snapchat and other social media shouldn't be used that way. It's just objectively wrong. If this article wants me to feel so bad for James Charles and make us all question our negative perceptions of him, why tell us something that reinforces our negative perceptions? Like, I don't know, that his own little brother won't talk to him? I've always been somebody who's been able to cope, he continues. I've been able to turn my phone off to go see my family, to have friends over, go to an escape room, watch a fun movie, play Mario Kart, play Minecraft, build a Lego set. But with this situation, it was really scary because my coping mechanisms weren't coping. It was the first time where I was like, oh fuck, I don't actually know what to do here. I eventually got to a point where I was like, this is not healthy, this is not good, this is getting to a really fucking dark place. The fallout became deeply personal when his younger brother, who works as a model in New York City, stopped talking to him because of the allegations. It's now been 2 years since they last spoke, Charles says. Yeah, the fact that someone who is supposed to be James Charles' family wants nothing to do with him speaks volumes. It does nothing for the little pity party that James Charles is trying to have for himself here. Like, am I supposed to be sorry that his videos might not get as many views anymore? He's doing much better than he could be doing. He should be grateful for who he has with him now. His biggest mistakes, he now thinks, were making himself too available and recklessly hitting on anyone he thought might be showing him interest. His intention was never to prey on minors, he says. He tried to explain all this in Holding Myself Accountable, but it just didn't come across right. He reflects, I've just been fucked over by so many men so many different times. At this point, I just want a fucking boyfriend. Someone that's going to love me, that's going to care for me. So a lot of times I just go in talking to somebody with rose-colored glasses. Rose-colored glasses don't cover up age numbers. So you talk to children because you're a hopeless romantic? I just want a boyfriend. Shut up. Posing him with this moody-ass picture too. What do you mean his biggest mistakes were making himself too available? What's a bigger mistake than talking to children sexually? Credit to this article in these sections though, because they go on to say, I still have to ask though, why didn't he just stick to actual adult dating apps? He tells me he previously had accounts on Raya, Tinder, Hinge, and Bumble, and while he did go on dates with people he met there, he ultimately felt too exposed, like anyone he swiped right on was going to take screenshots of their conversations or brag to their friends about it. He doesn't fully address that anyone on any social media platform could do the same. I know, you know, and he knows that Charles is on a mission to rehabilitate his reputation. But, and even though we've already established he's very good at his job, I have to tell you that his regret doesn't come across, in person, as the opportunistic artifice that so many celebrities begrudgingly wade through. It's more that he just seems young. Not that everyone in his position would have the luxury of being perceived as naive or guileless. This comeback would look a lot different if Charles were not a physically beautiful white man. These paragraphs are valid criticisms to raise and to have. My conclusion on this article is that overall, it's just so strange. Like, James Charles, for all the controversy, is still pulling large digit view counts to this day. Maybe not what he has previously done, But all things considered, James Charles is in a remarkably fortunate place. People are still tuning in, buying his palettes, and drawing attention to his content. And an article like this does nothing but drive up conversation about James Charles. This video is an excellent example of that. There's no way to avoid people having opinions on the internet, but the best way for James to get close to that, since it seems like that's what he's saying he wants, would be to just be more private. There's nothing wrong with living privately and minding your peace. It does wonders for your skin, but the way James Charles acts is in contradiction to all of this because he continuously puts himself in the public eye, and that's where this article becomes an example of a talking point. James acts like he wants to be a big, real celebrity, but you can't be known by everyone and have your private life cake too. But you can buy a private life cake in my merch store, Hotbox Private Life Cake. We do not ship to James Charles or the IRS. Yeah, TLDR, mind your own business, James. Don't you have, like, dog food to buy or something? And that's everything I have for you today. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, why not leave a like and share the video around? Help spread the word. Whenever you're watching this, I hope you have a good rest of your day and an even better tomorrow. I'll see you in the next episode of whatever I make. There's a lot of stuff that's a little different coming up, so I hope you're excited for it. And until next time, this has been the Hotbox. Bye. Whoops.